Hello, friends, and welcome to Pathologic, Volume 3, Episode 5. This is the final episode of this short volume where we are exploring the world of setting puzzles as opposed to just solving them. And today we will be constructing an Akari together. You can go back in the archives and find when we previously discussed Akari if you would like a little bit more of a tutorial on how this works and the types of logic that can be involved. Or you can just hang around and we'll give you a quick refresher. Tomorrow we'll be into Volume 4 when we're back to the normal format where I'll be tackling a new puzzle genre every day by another constructor. But for today, you gotta bear with me setting one more puzzle for you. And before we do that, we will take a look at the rules. Akari is a pencil puzzle in which we are going to be drawing lights in a grid to satisfy the following rules. Place lights in some cells so that every cell is illuminated. Lights in this example interface are represented by the green circles. Lights illuminate the cell they're in, as well as all cells seen in a straight line horizontally or vertically, not obstructed by a black cell. So, for example, this light in the solution illuminates itself, this cell to the west, these two above, but that does not continue in that direction because it's obstructed, nor does it illuminate anything to the east or south because those are both obstructed by black cells. Lights may not illuminate each other. It would be illegal for me to place a light in this cell because it would illuminate the one to the west and the one to the south. A clue indicates the number of lights in the cells orthogonally adjacent to it. Orthogonally in this context just means sharing an edge. So this one clue here must have exactly one light, one green circle, in the 4 cells that it touches. You can also see that it is fine for some black squares to not have a clue number in them. They still function as black cells for the purpose of obstructing the path of the lights. Today I'm setting an Akari puzzle using the puzzling interface. This is one of the easier puzzles to set in terms of coming up with a valid puzzle. Sometimes it is a little bit more challenging for me to come up with interesting puzzles. So we'll see if we can accomplish both goals, but at the least it should be a somewhat easier journey than a couple of these have been that have taken me quite a while. So I'm hoping this is going to be a little quicker. One of the starting points we can use is that Akari puzzles are traditionally, though not mandatorily, crossword symmetric, 180 degree symmetric. So we can actually build the grid first before we start thinking about clues in this case, because once we can always adjust it later, but that will give us kind of a framework to hang things off of. So I'm just gonna make some marks in the grid. I'm gonna make sure that they are offset a bit. We will want maybe, oops, I don't want a number in it yet. We want maybe some dominoes in there as well as some singles. And I try to, usually it's nice to have at least one block in every row and every column. And I think that does that. Let's start from here. Okay, so easy things. The easiest clue for an Akari is a number that completely fills all of the possibilities, all of the possible open sides. So like a 4 here, or a 3 here would be the easiest thing to do. The second easiest thing are zeros. Those give you full information, but only locally. So let's start off with one of these full clues, just so we can see what that does. And so we'll go into answer mode, and we will mark those 3. Now note that part of what that does is drastically constrain some of the other clues in terms of what the maximum number is that they can have. So for example, this clue is now either a 0 or a 1, and if it's a 1, we've completely dealt with this row. I'm going to put in a pattern that is a pretty fun one, I think, of when I have a domino. If you put 2s in both the cells of a domino, that does something interesting, because now neither of these can have both the top and the bottom as their 2, because if they did, they would give the other clue only one possibility. So what this means is this pattern is always going to give us lights at either end of the domino, and then we got a little X-wing of these. So whichever one it is, we're going to have the rest of the row illuminated for both of them. So now I can do something like make this clue a 1, and this is going to be a slightly less obvious placement, and will give us that. I'm going to have to disambiguate this 2-2 domino by putting so now this can't be a 2, it could be a 0 or a 1, because so we need to get a light in one of these 2 columns somewhere. We could go ahead, actually that's not bad, we could go ahead and make this a 2. So now that we've made that a 2, these 2 sides both get lights. This 2 is now fully defined, which fully defines this one. That's pretty good. So now this cell is only going to ever be lit if it itself has a light bulb in it. This could be either of these. I'm looking for weak areas that we can deal with nicely. I would love to do something with a 0 clue. Let's see. If this is a 0 clue, I'm going to try this. If this is a 0 clue here, then we're going to need to figure out how to illuminate this cell. And it can be from either of these. So if I somehow put a light in this row on the left side, that's going to force this area over here. So this can be our remaining 2 clue here. That's actually going to be a very easy clue because of these 2, because of this being given right at the top. Actually, I don't like that being, I don't like that being a 2. Let's see if I can do an easier one. Can we force this to be a light by what's going on above? If this is a 0, then is this constrained? Yes, it is. Okay. This is kind of nice, I think. this is a 0, then what if this is a 1? Either this 1, if this 1 comes up here, then there's no way to light this cell. I kind of like that logic. So this 1 has to be here in order to get this lit. Therefore, this is not lit. In order to light this, this has to be a bulb. In order to light this, this has to be a bulb. And now to light this, we've got to have a bulb here. And then we're going to have a bulb here. And that, I think, already is a pretty darn good puzzle. So, we're going to try to solve it. So we'll erase the answer. And we'll do this from first principle. Zeros get surrounded by dots. Threes get surrounded by lighthouses. Then I'm going to try to avoid doing the thing I did before just to see if there is another solve path. But it isn't presenting itself, so I think maybe we've avoided putting a back door in here. So now we're going to use the 2's trick. And the same logic as before. We can't have both sides of this because it would invalidate the other clue. So each has at most 1, which means they have these 2. So now this 2 is done, which means this 2 is done, which means this 2 is done. This 1 is done. This one can't see any other possible cells, so it's there. This this could be either of these still. This could be either of these still. Yeah, I don't see any way other than what we logicked before. So there is a 1 clue on one side or the other of this. Either way, this is going to be eliminated, so that's not a light. And so if it were this one, then that's not a light, and therefore this is unilluminated. So it's this one, which makes that not a light, which makes that illuminated. And now this can't see any other possibilities. This can't see any other possibilities. This has to be illuminated from right there. And that is how we construct an Akari.